The first time Elena Romano saw little Matteo sitting alone in the corner of the grand banquet hall, her heart clenched. Crystal chandeliers sparkled above. Laughter echoed through the luxurious mansion, and the air buzzed with tension and whispers about the man who ruled this empire of power and fear. The notorious Mafia boss, Alessandro De Luca. Everyone stood tall and careful around him, afraid to breathe too loudly. But Elena's eyes weren't on the terrifying figure in the tailored black suit. Her gaze stayed fixed on the small boy no one else seemed to notice. Matteo sat silently at the far end of a long mahogany table, his dark curls falling into his eyes as he pushed a single toy car back and forth. He was only 8. The loneliness etched across his face made him seem much older. Party guests avoided him, glancing away awkwardly, as if the child carried the same dangerous aura as his father. But Elena noticed something different. His eyes weren't empty. They were alive, desperate to communicate, searching for something, or someone. Elena, a young sign language interpreter hired to assist with a visiting dignitary, had no business stepping into the world of the De Luca family. Everyone in the room knew the rules: stay silent, stay out of the boss's personal affairs, and never, ever approach his son. The boy was mute, they whispered, broken. A shame the powerful Alessandro kept hidden behind bodyguards and wealth. But Elena didn't see broken. She saw a child drowning in silence while the world around him refused to listen. As the night wore on, she found herself stealing glances in Matteo's direction. Each time, she caught him watching her too, his eyes widening whenever she signed a casual, "Thank you," or "Good evening," to the guests she worked with. When she looked his way, he'd quickly turn back to his toy car, but something in his expression told her he understood. It was risky, maybe even reckless. When the music swelled and guests turned their attention to a toast, Elena crossed the room. Kneeling beside Matteo, she gave a small smile and signed carefully, "Hello." The boy froze. His car stopped mid-roll. Slowly, almost fearfully, his small hands moved. "You know this." He signed back, his fingers trembling. Elena's heart leapt. "Yes," she signed, her eyes shining. "I know sign language. My name is Elena. What's yours?" His answer was hesitant but clear. "Matteo." It was the first time anyone in that house had spoken to Matteo in a language he could hear. From that night on, Elena's visits became more frequent, though hired only temporarily. Alessandro noticed his son's rare smiles when she was around and allowed her to stay. Matteo blossomed in her presence. He told her about his love for cars, his fear of thunderstorms, and how he hated that people treated him like a ghost. Through sign language, he poured out years of silent frustration. Elena listened to every word, never once treating him like something fragile or strange, but their growing bond wasn't without challenges. The De Luca mansion was a fortress of secrets. Rumors of rival gangs and betrayal swirled outside its marble walls. Alessandro's men watched Elena with suspicion, their hands never far from hidden weapons. One evening, as she left, 2 guards cornered her. "Don't get too close," one warned. "The boss doesn't like outsiders meddling in family matters." Elena's chest tightened, but she refused to back down. "I'm not meddling," she said firmly. "I'm helping a child communicate." A word of her defiance reached Alessandro himself. The next day, he summoned her to his private study. Cavernous room lined with leather, bound books, and the faint smell of cigar smoke. The man who terrified half the city sat behind an enormous desk, his dark eyes sharp and unreadable. "You've been spending a lot of time with my son," he said, his deep voice carrying the weight of unspoken threats. Elena's knees trembled, but she held his gaze. "Your son needs someone who listens. He has a voice, even if it isn't spoken. I'm just helping him use it." For a long, tense moment, Alessandro said nothing. Then, to her shock, his eyes softened. "Matteo hasn't smiled in years," he murmured, "until you." From that day forward, Alessandro allowed Elena to teach not only Matteo but also him. Night after night, she showed the feared Mafia boss how to sign simple words: love, proud father. Alessandro's massive hands fumbled at first, but he never gave up. The first time he signed, "I love you," to Matteo, the boy's face lit up brighter than the chandeliers that filled their home. Still, danger lingered outside. A rival family, sensing Alessandro's newfound tenderness as weakness, struck one stormy night. Gunfire shattered the quiet. Bodyguards rushed to defend the mansion. Elena and Matteo hid in a locked room, Matteo shaking as distant explosions echoed. Elena held his small hands and signed, "You're safe." "I'm here?" Together they waited, listening as chaos raged outside. When it was over, Alessandro found them huddled together. He knelt before Matteo, signing with clumsy but determined fingers, "I will always protect you." Tears welled in Matteo's eyes as he signed back, "I know, Papa." Months later, the De Luca mansion was still a place of power, but something fundamental had changed. Where silence once ruled, hands now moved freely. Alessandro himself began funding programs for deaf and mute children across the city, quietly using his influence for good. And Matteo, once the lonely boy in the corner, now stood tall beside his father, unafraid to speak in his own beautiful way. As Elena prepared to leave for a new assignment, Matteo rushed to her side. With a grin, he signed, "Thank you for listening." Elena smiled through tears and signed back, "Never stop speaking, Matteo. The world needs your voice." And for the first time, the halls of the Mafia boss's mansion echoed not with fear, but with the silent, powerful language of love, a language that needed no sound to change lives forever.